Let's see how our AFC plays out. Because man, if it's the same, that will be wild. And I fear it might be, but who knows? You know, it's like I've said like a million times. It's August. AFC is wide open, so we're switching gears there. Throwing it to you. Who are your division winners, and how do you see the playoffs seeding going?
All right, so I'm going to go in order this time.
Okay.
Starting off, because the AFC is very stacked, and I think it was a little easier for me to order it compared to the NFC. The NFC, I was kind of ordering it on the fly, to be honest. But AFC, I'm going to go Chiefs as the 1 seed. That doesn't feel too controversial. I think most people, I mean, come on, they're the reigning champions for a reason. I'm going to go Bills as the 2 seed. Feels, pretty familiar. We've seen the Bills kind of up there for quite some time. I'm going to go Jacksonville Jaguars as the 3rd seed. And I'll say this. I was very tempted to put them at the 2 seed. I think they win the division. It's just the seeding here that I'm arguing. I was very tempted to put them at the 2 seed. They have a somewhat easy schedule. It's not the easiest, but it's all right. And I don't know. I feel like this could be a big year for Trevor Lawrence. You get Calvin Ridley, they add Tank Bigsby to help out with the run game. I think things could be really exciting over there in Jacksonville, and I think the defense could be better specifically too. Anyway, and then number 4 seed, I got the Cincinnati Bengals. Nothing surprising there. I think all 4 of those teams are capable of winning 12-plus games this year. It might be bold, at least for the Jaguars. For the Bengals, Bills, Chiefs, that's like an expectation as they should win 12. But I think the Jaguars can do it too. Then the 5th seed, I'm going to go with the Chargers. Nothing surprising there. Similar to last year. 6th seed, this is where things get a little interesting because I don't know. I don't think this is a hot take, but I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens in the 6th seed. I've said this for like 2 years at this point, and I'm knocking on wood and hoping that, this doesn't happen. But the Ravens are just a healthy season away from actually like having a good run. Like I really believe that. A lot of talent on that team. Last year, Lamar, Mark Andrews, Staley, just so many guys getting hurt. And I think if they can stay healthy, at least some of the core tenets of that offense, and then like Roquan, Marlon Humphrey, some of those guys on defense, if they can stay healthy, I think the Ravens could have a good year. So I'm going to put them at the 6th seed. And this is where things get a little dicey because the AFC is loaded. There's a lot of options here. The Jets, the Dolphins, the Browns, even the Titans, but I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins. I think that the offense, assuming Tua is healthy, that's the big question mark. If Tua gets another concussion, then I'm worried about a lot of things that could happen with him. But I'm assuming he's going to be all right. And if he is, I think the offense is going to be a well-oiled machine because we saw like you just get the ball in your playmakers' hands and they'll make things happen. And then I really like the addition of Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator. I think that could really bode well for the Miami Dolphins in terms of their playoff hopes, which is why I'm taking them over the Jets, the Browns, the Broncos, the Titans, a lot of these other type of teams. So that is my 7. In recap, Chiefs, Bills, Jaguars, Bengals for the top 4 seeds, and then the wild card, Chargers, Ravens, Dolphins.
All right, so we definitely have different thoughts here, so that's good.
All right.
So not exactly the same, but who knows? Maybe we'll have the same end result. Nonetheless, so for me, I will do the same. My number 1 seed, I have the Kansas City Chiefs, like you mentioned. Even if Chris Jones holds out here for a while, the offense is still really good, and the defense can be good enough to make a few plays and win them a couple of games, I believe. And then he'll come back at the end of the season, and it should be business as usual for Kansas City. And then this number 2 is where I took the risk, and I went with Jacksonville at 2.
Okay.
I think more,
I like it.
For me, it's just more to like their division. We've talked about it. It's probably easier, and they get, I could see them being 5-1, maybe 4-2, but more 5-1, maybe split the series with Tennessee. But for their other 4 games, went out against the Colts and Texans, and that being a big boost just in this tight AFC for them. So add them at 2. Like I said, we'll be shocked if they 2-3, but like I said, tiebreaker gets them at 2. For number 3, I have the Cincinnati Bengals there. And then at 4 is where I have the Miami Dolphins. Yes, over the Bills. Yes, I love Josh Allen. It's just, I'll get to the Bills in a minute. And my wild cards at 5 is where I went Baltimore. So we're kind of similar thoughts on Baltimore. I have concerns about their team, and we'll see. but I think still overall really good. And then Bills at 6. It's just I have concerns, and I'll mention that, like I said. And then 7, I went with the Jets. And it's kind of tied into why I left the Giants and Commanders out, because your divisions do play each other. I feel like that's the Jets could be a team kind of like with Brady and the Bucks, where it really starts to gel the last month, 6 weeks is when maybe they get on a run and it all starts clicking for both sides of the ball. So, but nonetheless, very tough division they're in. So yeah, I'm with you leaving out the Broncos. It really hurts to leave out the Chargers. It's just one of those, I gotta see them put a full good year together, because it feels like via injuries, it always feels like the Chargers have like a slow start, or usually they do get off slow starts, I feel like, but it takes them a while to get going, or they lose a couple of games that you're scratching your head, why, how did they lose this game? They were in theory the better team on the field. So gotta see the belief there for them. And then Broncos, same. Gotta see Russ get fixed. So those are my wild cards. We'll do.
Can you recap the whole list,
yes,
whole 7 real quick?
I'll do it. So Chiefs 1, the Kansas City Chiefs 1, Jacksonville Jaguars at 2, Cincinnati Bengals at 3, Miami Dolphins at 4. Those are my 4 division winners. And then wild cards at number 5 is the Baltimore Ravens. 6 is the Buffalo Bills, and 7 is the New York Jets.
I like it.
Yeah, it's like I said, really tough, but man, it's gonna be interesting. AFC. Who do you have in your divisional round and on?
All right, divisional round. I have the Kansas City Chiefs matching up against the LA Chargers. I'm just going to mention this just because I think it's the spicy matchup. I have Bengals Chargers made in the wild card round, and I got the Chargers beating the Bengals. I know that's spicy right there.
To be fair, that's like it could be one of those where like just a bad matchup for the Bengals in terms of Bosa, Mac, and still JC figures it out. Same with Derwin, and then on the flip side, they make enough plays with Justin Herbert.
Here's my rationale too. I feel like the Chargers' biggest weakness on defense is stopping the run, and I just got a feeling that at the end of the year, I don't know if Joe Mixon's still the starting running back or around, because I don't know. I still have suspicions that maybe somebody else might supplant him, but I feel like he might be kind of gassed. I don't know. I mean, we saw towards the end of last year too. There was some games where he was starting to get injured towards the end of the year, and I don't know. I could see that to where the Bengals maybe don't necessarily take advantage of that Chargers run defense as well as they should, so that we get into a shootout in terms of passing. And although I think that Joe Burrow and the Bengals and all them are absolute studs, I think that plays more into the Chargers' hands as to what they would want to do. And also the Bengals secondaries, it's a little young.
It can be had.
You lose out on Jesse Bates, so we'll see about Daxton Hill and some of these guys. And I think that assuming that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and all of them are healthy, that anyway, I got the Chargers win that matchup in the divisional round or the wild card round. So I got Chiefs, Chargers, and then Bills, Jaguars in the divisional round, and I got the Chiefs taking out the Chargers in Arrowhead, and then on the road, I'm going to have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking out the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. It's going to be cold. It's going to be nasty. I don't know. Maybe we see a big ETN, Tank Bigsby kind of game in the cold in Buffalo. And that means in the conference championship, I got Chiefs Jaguars. And I'm going to have the Chiefs, unfortunately for Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, the young Jags, I got the Chiefs advancing once again to the Super Bowl.
Wow. All right. Well, let me mention mine, and we'll go from there. We'll compare and contrast. So for my divisional, I have the Chiefs facing up against the Jets. Yes, the 7th-seeded Jets. I already kind of alluded that I felt like they could be a team that comes in hot. And then I have a divisional matchup between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. I know the Bills didn't make it. That's because I have them losing, because they how my seedings go, they played Cincinnati in that wild card, and I have Cincinnati winning there. And unfortunately, I had the Jags losing to the Jets. I went with the more experienced Rodgers, and maybe who knows. But so yes, and then I have that divisional round playing out, and that the Chiefs beat the Jets. As great as the story is for Rodgers and them, he's not going to have his Brady year like that. Maybe the following season, but Chiefs more known commodity, especially offensive line, defensive line wise, which usually are one of the main factors late in the season. And then I have the Bengals over the Ravens in their matchup. I mentioned my concerns with the
familiar rematch.
Yeah, I have my concerns about the Ravens pass rush, so especially if they can't really do that against Joe Burrow and the gang, it's gonna be just a bad matchup for the Ravens. So my conference championship would be Chiefs Bengals, that great rivalry, and I'm going with Chiefs again, especially being at home. So yeah, I have a Chiefs as well as you in regards to...
We got same Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah, so same Super Bowl matchup. So basically, who do you have winning between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers?
Dynasty is cemented. Kansas City takes another one. They went back-to-back Super Bowls. That is going to be 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. I have the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Niners in the rematch once again.
Yeah, I do too.
How about you? Yeah.
So
it's just hard to bet against the Chiefs, man. I wanted to have a hot take and be like, the Chargers beat the Chiefs in the divisional, and then you just can't. It's the Chiefs. You just can't.
As long as 1-5 is back there, and some crazy things don't happen, which hey, you never know. But it just feels like it's hard to deny them, and they get Chris Jones, and who knows? In a way, this whole holdout may be beneficial for their playoff run, because then it's likely Chris Jones will be fully going and actually healthy, because he only had to play half a season. Because we've seen him sometimes, Chris Jones especially, coming to the playoffs and he's dealing with an injury, maybe questionable this game. I think if I remember correctly, the first time they went up against the Bengals in the playoffs, I think they lost too. Was
Sorry,
no, you're good.
I'm muted.
You're good. Was around. I think he was dealing with an injury around that time. I remember one of the runs, he can only. There's a game or two where he was only in on third downs. He was limited snap wise because of an injury. Is all I'm saying. So maybe in a way this works out for them. It's one of my another kind of good / bad thing, double-edged sword.